Okay, there he goes. There he goes. Wah wah! Look! Wah wah! Wah wah! Okay, roll it up, roll it up, roll it up, roll it up, roll it up. We're just gonna fly at us. Okay, so the question has been floating around society of what is wrong with society lately. It's mainly from the older generation, however, Generation Z has begun to ask the same question, as we are capable of making comparisons from the past to the present. However, personally, whenever I am asked a question pertaining to that question, it is usually, oh, do you know about this? There's a multitude of things wrong with that question. Do you know about this? Because it could be pertaining to anything. It could be pertaining to a thing of headphones. It could be pertaining to a rubber band. It could be pertaining to a thing of candy. When you ask the question, do you know about this? It is an unfinished question. The rest of that question, when pertaining to society, should be, do you know about what is going on with this situation in society? And then you have to be even more specific, because when someone asks you, what do you mean about this situation in society? You have to give an example of the situation. As in, it's not what it used to be. For example. So when I was asked, do you know about this? I shook my head no. Because no, I don't know what you mean by this. What is this? Is it a tree? Is it a rock? Is it the air? What is this that you are talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Because you are not finishing your question. I'm going to have to pause this a second. However, to answer the question of what is going on with this situation in society, and why is this situation not what it used to be, as in why are we so corrupted now? Because that's what is wrong with this situation in society. You aren't gonna like this. No one ever likes to hear this answer. But there comes a time in which you need to reflect upon yourself. Not only are we not trusting ourselves, but we are not trusting ourselves as a society. We are not trusting each other. Therefore, our society is collapsing within itself because it is contradicting itself. Nothing is clear. Nothing is, how do we say, going accordingly. Because we are not capable of properly communicating. The number one rule in warfare is strategic warfare. You cannot have strategic warfare without communication. Our communications, though now more advanced than ever, are collapsing. We have failed now because we're too used to things. We have failed to be able to properly communicate with each other face to face. And that wouldn't be a problem if we had already known how to communicate with each other not face to face. If we had been more introverted than extroverted, or known when to be extroverted, as in known when to go out to do things, and when we went out to do things, to do it accordingly. I was born, I want to give an example. This body was born with something called degenerative hip disease. That is where the left hip was halfway deteriorated at birth, meaning gone, non-existent, not there, and it just kept going away. And then after this body was born, it continued to deteriorate another quarter of that hip, and then it deteriorated a quarter of the right hip before it could heal. Because that left hip was gone so much, and probably not even a quarter of it grew back, the doctors had to set that left hip into the hip socket shallow. Shallow means not deep. It means basically on the surface of things is the most shallow you can go. So I have had to watch every single one of my steps. Well, we have had to watch every single one of our steps since we've been able to walk in this body. We've had to say no to a lot of things that most would say yes to. Mainly because if we did it, it would end up being the end of us. We wouldn't be able to walk. If we had done half of the things that we wanted to do. We were introverted. We had to watch when we went out in public, what we had to do when we went out in public, how we had to walk, so we wouldn't trip on literally nothing, because our hips are imbalanced. We couldn't run a whole lot. We had to choose when it was safe to run, meaning we couldn't play tag. We couldn't chase after our friends. We couldn't play hide and seek. But we appeared normal. We could walk just fine. And a few times we decided to play tag. We decided to play hide and seek. Just a few times, just to see what it was like. And no one understood why we didn't play as much as the other kids. it caused us to fracture our ankle twice. The first time happened when we were playing flag tag, and it was a small divot in the ground, something a normal person wouldn't have even tripped over, would have been able to just step in and been okay, but it fractured our ankle. And nobody really did anything about it. In fact, when we went back to school after 2 weeks, and we were able to kind of hobble on that ankle or just use it for balance, kids thought that we'd been lying, that we had been faking it. When we literally had an ankle brace on. So, you know, hold on a second. So another reason we had to watch our steps is because we were told that when we would be about 50 to 60 years old, something called hip arthritis would kick in. And that was only if by the time we were 17 to 20 years old that the degenerative hip disease did not come back. So we had to make every step count. We had to make every moment actually count. And that means we had to test a lot of things. We had to test which steps were best for us to take, which paths were best for us to take. And it was hard. We couldn't go to a lot of outings. We couldn't go to a lot of birthday parties. We denied the fact for the longest time. Our brain became traumatized from the information, even, that we could walk just under certain conditions. And we were too young to understand the fact, to actually be able to comprehend it. And so we didn't deny it because of any benefits to us, really, other than that we could keep up the appearance of a normal person. That we could go and do everything and anything anybody else could, and that no one would have to worry about us or anything of the sort. A lot of kids started to think that the way we were acting was for sexual reasons, and it followed us into adulthood from the age of about 16. So, we were perceived a lot as something like Marilyn Monroe, in which we were a sex object to everyone, mainly because of how we walked. And we knew it was because of how we walked. We knew it was because of how we talked. And so we started making jokes about sex to make fun of it. And it just, I think it made it worse. We tried to make the jokes to discourage intercourse, as it wasn't even the reason why we walked the way we did, or why we did the certain actions we did. We needed a short path. We needed something quick. We needed issues to be solved quickly and efficiently with no trouble, no talk back. Questions were accepted, however, fighting or argument about the situation was not, as we could always see it from the quickest, shortest, easiest, and safest perspective. Okay, so the jokes I made, they were just to try and raise awareness against being negative towards sex, how it should be, taken seriously and not really joked about or taken to the extreme. It's a very, how do we say this? It's a very beautiful thing done between two consenting adults, okay, who are capable of understanding each other and not taking advantage of each other. It's not just spiritual, but it is very real, very beautiful, and stuff like that for me, it is exerting. It takes a lot out of me. Walking, running. It takes a lot out of me. I can't just do it whenever I dang well please, unless I've taken proper precautions to rest when necessary, and to take steps to where I don't have to work as hard, but I can work more efficiently than others. This is where brains comes over bronze. Okay? So, the jokes were stuff like, oh, like you would know how that feels, or something like, oh, that's what she said. Just, it would depend. And I mainly did them as a teenager. I never really made those jokes as an adult or as a child. So I did it when it was appropriate, even though it was inappropriate. That's it for now. Those are just some examples. I have to get some things done, so y'all, please have a safe day, night, wherever you're at. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And though I know it's mainly been just a dark screen, when I talk about this stuff, I don't like my face to be seen. Please like and subscribe if you so choose. And bye for now.